UnBoxing is a playable ebook. It is a game book inspired by choose your own adventure books, Pick Your Path, Fighting Fantasy, Lone Wolf, Romeo and or Juliet, and some more other recent works. But it's essentially about trauma. Cece is a foster child. She's actually an orphan. Her parents were killed in a train crash. She finds her way to the magical Mrs. Wobble's house. Now, when you're reading this book, though, you start at the epilogue, and then it moves to the ending, and then it moves to the start. And as you find your way through the start, it seems like a relatively ordinary tale, straightforward. You have some choices. You find out about Cece's interests, and of course that there's this box of the title. And inside that box, we're told, are Cece's memories. And Mrs. Wobbles, who may or may not be a witch, says to Cece, well, open this when you're ready. So the player now has their first really big choice. Are they going to open this box or not? Now, if they don't open the box, there's not much of a story. So it's a little bit like Meanwhile by Jason Suga. But if you do open the box, which you're going to do eventually anyway, not only do all of her memories come out and come loose, but so does the structure of the book, which has been decaying over our series, which prior to this has been mostly a series of web pages. So as an ebook, as a playable ebook, now we give the readers the chance to not only participate in following the path of the story, but in essence, they're helping the book put itself together again and helping Cece at the same time to come to grips with this traumatic events of her past. But she doesn't have to do it alone. Along the way, she's joined by her companions. She's got Mandu the dog and Sonogong the monkey king who are there to assist her. Interestingly, in this book, we've tried to create some randomness. So this is one of our innovations. We've got this deck of cards that you navigate through. And just by picking shapes and gems and colors, you find your way to a magical object. And that magical object is the means we use to set you down a particular path. And it also comes with a challenge of some kind that's like a real-life challenge you can do, whether it's with a straw or with a giant ladle. There are some polka dot earrings. There's the origami frog. There's some kimchi poetry in a jar. Anyway, lots of items. So as you're reading, again, you're not only navigating the story, but you're also navigating the book itself. So you can hop into the footnotes of the story, and then you can navigate those like a maze. They're actually designed to be a playable space. I have a map of these, but the player gets a partial map. And then they've got to find their way through these tunnels that exist underneath the pages of the book. At some point, they can actually go inside the heart of the book through this pit. And that requires another one of our little innovations. We've got some AR content in here. And the first of which, the pit, is the only way or the primary way to find out what page you need to go to next. And that page is displayed, page number is displayed on an image that hovers over the book itself if you look at it through the AR lens. You can just use a mobile phone or something like that. Not only are there paths through the book, but we also give people access through the crossroads to a list of all of the various lexias or story chunks, so that if the player feels brave enough, they can navigate that way and essentially go wherever they want to. The glossary is one of the places where the characters also find themselves in the text of the book. Again, there's a lot of meta stuff happening here. They are literally in the glossary and trying to figure out how they're going to help get Cece through. The narrator of the book is the Book of the Lost, or that's the book that we are in, and it claims that it is only being read, or can be read, or will be read, by people who have lost something. So the implication is that the reader themselves has lost something, and several of the pages address that directly. When the wind comes in, that's our main villain, the Santa Ana wind, Santana. It blows the pages apart, blows the memories apart, tries to blow the people apart from each other. And that's the main antagonist that the reader has to try to figure out how to overcome. I guess that's the boss. Except for really the boss is Cece's trauma. And Cece's difficulty dealing with things that are out of order that she can't control. And so a lot of the book is built around helping her get control over her experience of her own memories. And maybe giving up however much of that control that she needs to so that she can be at peace. Of course, we also are trying to help her reunify with her family members. She's been estranged from her cousin, who was her caretaker, her adult cousin, because of an incident that happened with her cousin's boyfriend. And that led to her, again, going into Mrs. Wobble's house instead of living with family members. We don't see this as a book that kids just sort of read and then put down. There are these crafts and activities in the back that the children are asked to do, or adult readers also asked to do. And again, to some extent, the pages they go to next are contingent on those completing those crafts. But of course, it is quite possible that they just read where they want to read, because people are allowed to do that too. We write these stories as a family, a forever family, and I just wanted to let my kids say a little bit about what the stories have meant to them.
Hi, I'm Davion Marino. Mark Marino's son. I write with my sister on the Mrs. Wobble stories. Um, I Writing those stories, Mrs. Wobbles, has really brought me closer with like my family, with my dad and mom. We started them, and after we started them, it's just been like a really fun process in writing them. What Mrs. Wobbles has meant to me, it's like it hasn't gotten my story out there, but it's gotten people to know what like the basics of adoption and foster care in like a fun kind of twist if people want to read about it. And some advice for future families. I mean, it's just everybody has an imagination. This started off of our imagination, and it's gotten so far. And I feel like if you have an imagination, that can take you anywhere. So, yeah.
What I think is really special about the Mrs. Wobbles games and making games as a family is that there's spillover of our lives into the stories. And I think doing this writing and this game making has helped our family to process a lot of stuff. You know, we might not realize it, but when we're making these stories, and you know, for me with Land Down Under, that was the beginning of my processing my perfectionism and my OCD. And even though I didn't realize it at the time, I was planting those seeds for learning how to cope. And that was one of my ways that I was coping. Was I was writing about it, and I was talking about it, and I was trying to help others feel like how I felt, you know, wanting everything to be so perfect, and that also bleeds into this the new story that's coming out right now. And then, you know, having a dad who's kind of bridging the gap between what we see as like metaphor and, you know, how our child brains process these types of things into like, you know, real morals and things like that. That was also a learning experience for me. That was like a way that he was able to reach me, and, you know, speak my language, which was really incredible. And even today, you know, like, I'm realizing that maybe he was paying attention, you know, as I see some of our lives seep into these stories. And maybe he did know what was going on, and he had some sort of all-knowing plan all along. And all this to say, thank you for supporting games and supporting art and writing and collaboration like this, because without you guys, we wouldn't be here. And I hope you get the opportunity to write with someone that you love.